The American lawn and garden industry is $50 billion a year. Scott's Miracle-Gro alone does $3.5 billion in annual revenue selling you bags of synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in plastic packaging with cartoon flowers on the front. Every spring you walk into the garden center, stare at a wall of fertilizer, pick one that promises bigger tomatoes, and carry it home. Every fall you come back and buy more. The soil gets worse. The bag stays the same price. Meanwhile, every single day you are throwing away two things that, according to Cornell University, the University of Georgia, the University of Maine, and decades of peer-reviewed research, contain more usable calcium and potassium than most bagged fertilizers on that shelf. They cost nothing. They have been used by farmers for over 2,000 years, and the garden industry has no financial reason to ever mention them to you. Before we get to what they are, there is a problem to address. Because most of what you have heard about kitchen scraps for the garden is garbage. The Pinterest myths that do not work. Start with coffee grounds. You have seen the posts. Sprinkle them on your tomatoes. Save your grounds for the garden. Here's what actually happens according to research published in Urban Ecosystems and summarized by Oregon State University Extension. Fresh spent coffee grounds have a carbon to nitrogen ratio of roughly 20:1 and contain caffeine, tannins, and phenolic compounds. When you apply them directly to soil, soil microbes immediately tie up the available nitrogen to break them down, leaving your plants starved. A study growing broccoli, leek, radish, viola, and sunflower with direct coffee ground applications found all 5 plants grew worse in every treatment. Not neutral. Worse. Coffee grounds are not useless. After composting with other organic material for several months, they become a reasonable soil amendment. But dumping them straight on your tomatoes is a Pinterest myth that damages the thing you are trying to help. Next, banana peel tea. According to the University of Minnesota Extension, the potassium in a banana peel stays locked inside the cellular structure until microbes or heat break it down. Soaking it in water for a week does not release meaningful potassium. The brownish water you pour on your plants is mostly sugar, trace minerals, and bacteria. It attracts fungus gnats. It sours potting soil. And the actual nutrients remain in the peel you just threw in the compost bin. Third myth. Crushed eggshells sprinkled on soil to prevent blossom end rot. Mississippi State University Extension, the University of Minnesota Extension, and the University of Maryland Extension have all published the same finding. Blossom end rot is not caused by calcium deficiency in the soil. It is caused by inconsistent watering that prevents the plant from transporting available calcium to the developing fruit. Even if your soil lacked calcium, a whole eggshell takes 3 to 5 years to decompose. Your tomato has a 3-month growing season, so 3 of the most popular kitchen fertilizer tricks on the internet are either useless or actively harmful. But 2 things that really work are also in your kitchen, and the science on them is settled. Thing 1. Wood ash. If you have a fireplace, a wood stove, a fire pit, or any source of clean hardwood ash, you are sitting on one of the best potassium-calcium amendments a home gardener can apply. This is not a folk remedy. The University of New Hampshire, Cooperative Extension, the University of Georgia, the University of Maine, and Michigan State University Extension all publish technical guides on using wood ash in home gardens. Multiple peer-reviewed agronomic studies confirm it. Here is what the chemistry says. Average hardwood ash contains roughly 5% potassium, 25% calcium, 2% phosphorus, and 1% magnesium, plus trace amounts of zinc, copper, manganese, and boron. In commercial fertilizer terms, that is approximately a 0.13 NPK equivalent. A 2025 study published in the journal Agronomy applied wood ash to low potassium soils and measured potassium concentrations in the soil solution jumping to 969 parts per million. That is not a marginal improvement. That is a soil transformation. The same study found something else the bagged fertilizer industry will never tell you. Wood ash reduced cadmium in the growing crops from 0.709 milligrams per kilogram to 0.057 milligrams per kilogram, a 12-fold reduction in a heavy metal the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency classifies as a carcinogenic priority pollutant. The ash binds heavy metals in the soil and prevents the plant from taking them up. Synthetic fertilizers do not do that. Several actually add trace heavy metals to your garden. Wood ash is also more soluble and reactive than agricultural lime. It raises soil pH faster and more effectively, which matters because most garden soils east of the Mississippi are too acidic for optimal nutrient uptake. When your pH drops below 6, the phosphorus and potassium already in your soil become chemically locked up and unavailable to plants. Adding wood ash fixes the lock, releasing nutrients your soil already has. Two honest caveats, because this channel does not do miracles. First, if your soil is already neutral or alkaline, pH above 7, do not add wood ash. It will make the problem worse and lock up other nutrients. Get a soil test first. They cost $10 to $20 at any county extension office. Second, do not use ash from treated wood, painted wood, charcoal briquettes, or anything burned with plastic. Clean hardwood ash only. The application is simple. For 1,000 square feet of garden at a pH of 6, apply roughly 20 pounds of ash once a year, scratched into the top 2 inches of soil. That is about 1 5-gallon bucket. Do it in fall or early spring, not in summer when plants are actively growing. Thing 2. Finely ground eggshells. Yes, the same eggshells the myth got wrong. Here is what the myth missed. The problem is not calcium content. Eggshells are 95% calcium carbonate, chemically identical to agricultural limestone. The problem is particle size. Whole or roughly crushed shells have almost no surface area for microbial activity, which is why they take 3 to 5 years to decompose. But if you grind eggshells into a fine powder, the texture of flour, the rules change. A 2024 study published in the Journal of Experimental Agriculture International developed an eggshell-derived calcium fertilizer by grinding shells to a fine powder and applying it to tomato plants. The results showed substantial improvements in plant growth, fruit yield, and reduction in physiological disorders including blossom end rot. The Brazilian journal Research, Society and Development published a separate study in which finely ground eggshell solution was sprayed on tomato plants. The treated plants accumulated significantly more calcium in their tissue, produced larger fruit, and showed 0 blossom end rot. The control plants showed blossom end rot in 15% of their fruits. The difference was particle size and delivery. Findings from Kuvempu University in India measured eggshell calcium at approximately 90% bioavailable when properly processed, the highest absorption rate of any natural calcium source available to a home gardener. The method is straightforward. Rinse your eggshells. Dry them in a warm oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. When completely dry, grind them in a coffee grinder or blender until they are a fine powder. Store in a sealed jar. Apply 1 tablespoon per tomato plant at planting time, worked into the soil around the root zone. Reapply monthly during the growing season. The two things together: hardwood ash for potassium, calcium, phosphorus, and soil pH adjustment. Powdered eggshells for sustained bioavailable calcium delivery. The combined cost is 0 because both are waste products you are already throwing away. Now follow the money. Scott's Miracle-Gro, the largest home fertilizer company in the United States, reported $3.5 billion in annual revenue in 2024. Their core consumer product line is synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, mined from deposits in Canada, Russia, and Morocco, processed with industrial chemistry, packaged in plastic, shipped across continents, and sold to you at a markup that depends entirely on you not knowing that the two things you throw away every week would do most of the same job for free. The information has been published for decades. The University of New Hampshire has been issuing technical guides on wood ash since the 1990s. Peer-reviewed research on eggshell-derived calcium has been accumulating since the 2000s. Every cooperative extension office in North America can tell you how to use these materials correctly. The information is on the shelf. It is just not profitable to market. What you can do this weekend: save your eggshells, rinse them, dry them, grind them to powder in a coffee grinder, store in a jar, apply a tablespoon per plant at planting time. If you have a fireplace or wood stove, save your clean hardwood ash in a metal bucket with a lid. Get a soil test from your local cooperative extension office. If your pH is below 6.5, apply 20 pounds of ash per 1,000 square feet in fall or early spring. If your pH is already 7 or above, skip the ash and focus on eggshells. Stop buying the Pinterest myths. Coffee grounds go in the compost, not on your tomatoes. Banana peels go in the compost, not in a jar of water. Whole eggshells are too slow to help your current crop, so grind them. Do this for one season and track what happens. Your harvest will match or exceed what the bagged fertilizer gave you. Your soil will be healthier in the process, and the $50 billion garden industry will get $0 from you for the job. If you want to see how the same pattern plays out with watering, how a 4,000-year-old Roman method beats every smart sprinkler on the market and costs $5, that video is on screen now.